We're joined by Russell Jones, who is General Manager for Marketing and Commercial Growth at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Russell, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. I think the last time we met, and this seems like such a long time ago now, was it Miami at Soccer X?
It was. I remember it fondly. Like you said, it does feel a long time ago right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a vastly different world we're living in now at the moment. When we were there, you were there talking about some of the projects that you've done with Wolves, etc., some of the really exciting things that were going on. Obviously, since then, the world has been turned completely upside down. We're kind of working our way through a lockdown. We're kind of coming out of that now. But Wolves have been doing some fantastic stuff during that time. And the reason we're talking today is because you've created a partnership, quite a unique partnership with Gulf Racing, and it's for the virtual Le Mans 24-hour race. Now, can you just discuss how that's come about and what it is?
Yeah, no, of course, no problems. So just to give you some background on who Gulf are. Gulf are a very, very famous racing team, stretched back all the way to the 60s, and they currently compete in the FIA World Endurance Championship in the GTE category. So are literally flying around the world competing as a technical racing team. The reason it came about is because we have a mutual connection that actually is the team manager at Gulf Racing, but also does some consultancy work at Wolves. He knows we're heavily invested in esports. And when, unfortunately, the real physical Le Mans race was postponed, he reached out and just said, look, there's this opportunity because Le Mans have chosen to create a virtual version of the event. Is it something that you might be able to support us with? From a club perspective, we are very much innovative, and esports is one of our absolute key pillars. So as you can imagine, we jumped at the opportunity to join forces with Gulf Racing and to compete in one of motorsport's most prestigious events. And it's quite interesting, really, sort of sim racing, because it's probably different to a lot of esports in that a lot of the professional drivers will test on simulators, and you will have seen that over the last couple of months, the fact that the F1 virtual has seen a lot of the F1 drivers compete. And the Le Mans event has had its profile raised significantly because there is a number of F1 drivers, Max Verstappen, George Russell, Lando Norris. They're all involved in this event, as well as a lot of former drivers, Jenson Button, Rubens Barrichello. So again, obviously it's great profile for Wolves, and it gives us the opportunity to diversify not just into esports, but also into motor racing. So really exciting one for us, and we were more than happy to get on board.
So what does the partnership involve? How are you involved in the race, and what's the concept?
So the way that we're involved primarily is that they have, as I say, they're a technical racing team. So they have two racing drivers, FIA qualified racing drivers, and then there is a requirement for two sim drivers. So I suppose it's those two particularly that we've helped them with. So we've done quite a lot of testing together. The other obviously thing that Wolves bring to the table is a fairly significant content and marketing team that we can get behind them and raise the profile really of Gulf Racing as well. The other thing that we can do is it enables us to have a different story to tell our partners and to tell our sponsors. So there's a commercial relationship in there as well. So not only do we bring extra content, extra interest and extra exposure, we also bring, in theory, extra commercial revenue into relationship as well, and we also bring our esports expertise. So we feel that there's a significant value for both partners.
Yeah, and there's some absolutely amazing imagery going on with the cars that I've seen. How is that part of the deal where you're going to extend the Wolves brand, etc.?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. So brand extensions are a huge part of our strategy. We do, and we're certainly moving towards a world where we see Wolves as an entertainment brand, not just a football club. Of course, football will always be the key pillar of our business, but being able to branch out and diversify into whether it be esports, whether it be fashion. We have got a fairly sizable fashion business over in China that we can talk about in a minute. But this brings another string to our bow, so to speak, motorsport. It enables us to tell another story, a different story. It enables us to engage with a different type of fan base. And so it's really exciting for us. And as I say, it enables us to absolutely extend that brand.
Yeah, and you've been quite active. Obviously, you've mentioned you've been quite active in esports. How's that benefiting the club in the long term? And obviously, you've got the Le Mans now, but you've got your two players that play FIFA for you. How have you developed the esports side of things?
Esports, again, fundamental pillar to our business. And so we've currently got teams, as you said, in FIFA. We've got 2 Brazilian FIFA players. We've also got an entire FIFA online team that compete for us in various different leagues in China. We've got a PUBG team. We have an Identity 5 team. We have a kart racing team. So we are, yeah, I know it's big business for us. The actual market is enormous. Clearly this is primarily a brand and fan growth exercise. But our esports pillar absolutely has to stand on its own 2 feet commercially. I mean, I'm sure you'll have seen the numbers, Aaron. I mean, there was 15 million people tuned in the other day to watch the Travis Scott concert on Fortnite. And from a football perspective, because again, fundamentally we're a football club, and that still will remain our key pillar. But the reality is that we are fighting for the attention of a new young audience, and I've got first-hand experience of that because I've got a 10-year-old. He is a Wolves season ticket holder, but I've got to be honest, if I gave him the option of watching a Wolves game or watching an end of season event on Fortnite, he's going to pick Fortnite every single time. I know that. And so therefore, we have to be open-minded enough to know that if we do want to engage this young audience, that esports has to be a key pillar for not just Wolves, but most sports businesses these days.
And I noticed that one of those ways of attracting those audiences or gaining their attention is you've set up a Twitch account. So you've got people watching on Twitch. And for anybody who doesn't know what Twitch is, can you explain how that works and what the benefits are for you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, Twitch is essentially similar in a lot of ways to YouTube. It's an online video service. However, it's primarily focused around a large community of gamers. And in terms of numbers, it's absolutely enormous. There's 50 million active users a day on Twitch, and if you have an esports business, then Twitch is going to be a fundamentally critical channel for you. I mean, we stream all of our live content through our Wolves Esports Twitch channel, and I suppose the equivalent of that in China is Douyu, and that's even bigger. They have 166 million active users a month, and actually 7.3 million of those are paying, and that's obviously one thing Twitch doesn't have currently. But again, and I've seen this firsthand because I'll tune in to watch our kart racing team take part in Douyu, and there's another 1.5 million people that are joining me tuning in to watch those events. So it really is enormous. And if you have an esports business in the UK, stroke the Western world, Twitch is an essential channel, and likewise, if you're running a similar business in China, then you'd be using Douyu.
Yeah, and during the period of lockdown and the period that we've had no football, how have you used the other digital platforms and social media platforms to connect with the core fans, the football fans? How have you used that?
We've done, I suppose, again, we continue to try and engage with existing fans, and definitely continue to try and engage with this new audience. So we've done a bit of both. In terms of esports, our 2 Brazilian players have been, they've been really, really active. Leighton Orient created a tournament called the Quarantine Cup quite early on in the lockdown. Fair play to them. It was really good. There's 128 professional teams from all over the world took part in that. Obviously, it was nice for us because Wolves went on and won that particular event with Fafilza, who's our Brazilian superstar. And you know what? It enabled fans to get behind it too. It really did give us all something to watch. And whilst we all desperately missed that football, it was as close as we could get to it. a couple of weeks later, the Premier League launched the Premier League Invitational. Again, Wolves are very lucky to have a Diogo Jota, who's an exceptionally good FIFA player, and he we gave him a little bit of coaching behind the scenes from some of our coaches, and he obviously went on then to beat Trent Alexander-Arnold in golden goal in the final. And again, not only did that engage with this young kind of esports audience, but it very much actually engaged with the traditional fan base that were all tuning in, and I think that, like me, they all jumped up and nearly hit their head on the ceiling when that golden goal went in. It did feel like we were celebrating on the South Bank together. So I think outside of esports, we've done some of the things that a lot of other clubs, I'm sure, would have done, which are, weekly quizzes. We've done replays of famous games. So, and that's been really fun because we've actually invited back some of the key players that took part in those games, whether they were the 1960 FA Cup final, whether they were the Sherpa Van winning players of 1988. So the manager, Steve Ball, Andy Thompson came back to commentate on those games. 2003 playoff win. So again, we had the likes of Jolien Lescott and Matt Murray that came back and commentated and gave their opinion, and some really interesting insight that a lot of fans would have never seen before, actually commenting over moments in the game. So that's been really good. Obviously, offline, as you'd expect, the football club contributes as much as it possibly can to its city and its community. That always has to be a football club's main purpose, to make its fans and its city proud. So we've worked, really hard to make sure that PPE has been delivered to local New Cross Hospital here in Wolverhampton. Folkestone have been amazing. They've sent over thousands of pieces of PPE equipment. Our players have made significant donations to the ICU ward at Wolverhampton, and even our former players have got right behind the fundraising efforts as well. So it's been a real combination of digital engagement and then some offline work to stay in touch with everyone.
Yeah, and I think obviously we want football back. We want to see football week in, week out. But has this been a good chance for you as a club to kind of just slow down, take a step back and look at how you operate? Can we make changes? What can we do better? And really just some of the things that you said there, just focus on the local community and re-engaging with people who maybe have fallen away, etc.
Yeah, I think definitely. I suspect most clubs have been taking this time to strategize. Football club is such a busy industry. It never stops. It's 24/7. Obviously games happen on weekends, so you literally work a 7-day working week. And then you go from that to a very brief break, and then bang, you're back on again. And unfortunately, from the marketing and commercial world, you never get that break, because that little section of a couple of months where the players are off on holiday, the commercial and the marketing guys are working incredibly hard behind the scenes to reposition season tickets, to get back to our sponsors and set that up, to redress the stadium to prepare for the season, to work on pre-season tour. So there literally is never a break in football. So actually, it's been, it has been useful to take that time out to really think about our strategy, to plan out probably about 15 different scenarios for how the return of football could look. And it is going to be a new challenge for all of us. I think it would be fair to say that none of us quite know what's going to happen, and we're all going to learn. And technology is going to play a huge part in what the future looks like. There's no question about that. But it is the responsibility of the clubs and the league to make sure that we continue to deliver a fantastic Premier League product. That's so important. We know that the ultimate is to have fans back in the stadium. We all want that. Of course, we want that. Football is not the same without it. But whilst we can't have that, we need to make sure we can deliver the best possible experience for our fans back at home, and also an experience within the stadium that motivates the players. Because sometimes we forget that. We forget that the players absolutely feed off the buzz of fans. It's not one way. It's absolutely two way. So it's going to be interesting times ahead. But I really do think that we'll be stronger for this, because we'll have to adapt and we will have to use new technology to move us forward.
Yeah, and has in terms of obviously the fans, etc., you're going to have to operate differently. But in terms of the commercial partnerships that you have, is this a chance for you to reevaluate how you work with commercial partners and the people that are connected with the club?
Yeah, it has been. Obviously, we've had to work differently. That again brings challenges, and actually, you know, we need our partners to come on this journey with us. Certainly, you know, during the lockdown, our partners will have inventory requirements in their contracts that obviously we're struggling to honour at the moment. So we've had to be creative, and we've had to be very open with them in terms of different opportunities. So some of the activities we've undertaken during lockdown, so particularly some of the esports and digital activity, you know, clearly we want to expose them to that. We've hosted webinars with not just our partners, but with our partner employees, you know, where Pedro Neto and Connor Cody have come on to webinars and just had general chats to them. That's been quite nice. It engages staff. It keeps them, you know, motivated and buoyant as well. So, you know, I think this, you know, the commercial world moving forward, there's some patience required on both sides. Again, that's important. But, you know, we again know our responsibility to our partners, and we have to offer them different opportunities.
Yeah, and finally, just Wolves have created a fantastic in-stadium experience over the last few years. How are there any plans to kind of how are you going to focus on creating a stadium experience in a post-COVID world? I know you touched on it a little bit, but how difficult is that going to be for you?
You know, again, that's an interesting one. As you can probably imagine, we must have had about 100 meetings on, because you're right, we absolutely pride ourselves on that. It's something we want to be innovative, we want to be different. You know, we have had probably one of the first clubs to do light shows. Certainly we've taken fireworks to a whole new level. We've had in-house DJs, singers. Yeah, we've had a lot going on at Molyneux, and our fans have been great, because I know there'll be fans of other clubs that would be probably less prepared to be quite so inventive. Whereas our fans have absolutely come on the journey with us. They've understood that we are going to try some things that are a bit different. Some are going to work, some aren't. You know, fans are not, you know, not backwards at coming forward when we don't quite get it right. But they've really bought into the fact that we are going to be innovative, and we are going to try and create this match experience like no one else does. And you're right, what happens then in a lockdown world where actually you can't do some of those things? And actually I suppose that's the challenge for us, to challenge the league. So we'd come up with probably 15, 20 different ideas to bring a match experience to the stadium behind closed doors. The Premier League have created a separate group that have presented what an experience looks like to us, which is somewhat frustrating, because it limits almost our creativity. But I think a lot of it is going to be, again, it's going to be trial and error. I think we're certainly going to push the league, because we want to do that. We want Molyneux to have a unique experience. And again, we understand that one of the in this whole situation, commercially, the broadcasters are so important, and therefore there has to be some kind of consistency to the experience that the broadcasters can give to obviously the people listening to the games, and we are aware of that. But I think it's fair to say that, you know, we are going to continue to try and push the league. At the moment, there will be some standardisation. That might not necessarily be what Wolves want, but that's the reality of certainly the first few games of restart. And then, you know, we'll absolutely push to try new things.
Yeah. Is there anything that you can take from what's happened over in Germany? They've restarted. Is there anything that you can take from their experience? And in Denmark, I think they're now playing. There are a couple of leagues that are playing now. Is there anything that you can take from there? Anything that you've learned that could take into this, hopefully the restart in a few weeks' time?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're taking things from all of the leagues all of the time, and that's not just from an experience perspective. That's operationally. I mean, we had our first ops meeting yesterday, and look, we have an ops meeting every single week before a game, and it's a real slick operation. Despite the fact there's 30,000 people turning up for the game, it's very, very slick. You know, the ops meeting yesterday was probably the most challenging ops meeting we've ever had, and there's no one in the stadium. because everything's different. So we're literally starting again. You know, we are writing a brand new plan, and that is very, very challenging. So it is, you know, it is going to be different. It is going to be challenging, but yeah, we embrace it. We absolutely embrace it.
Okay, Russell, thank you for talking to me, and we'll leave it there. I hope everything goes well. I really hope that we see the end of the season. I hope we get the games on to see the end of the season, and I hope everyone stays safe and Wolves continue to thrive.
Fantastic. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate your time.
Not a problem.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.